Let me just treat this as like a fun little project and we'll see where it goes. There aren't quite as many baseball romances out there as I would like there to be, and I'm currently at 33,665 words. This is definitely a video that has been such a long time coming, and the reason I wanted to finally make this video is that I have gotten so much more serious about this idea and about writing this novel that I felt like in order to kind of like do future writing vlogs and talk more about the novel that I'm writing, I have to kind of do a bit of an intro video just to kind of lay the groundwork, let you guys know what's going on, let you guys know kind of the premise and like my ideas and stuff like that. And I didn't just want to start doing writing vlogs out of the blue and like not give you guys the information up front. So once I start doing them, and if people have like groundwork questions, I can just lead them back to this video and it will be a really good introduction into all of my thoughts, all of my feelings about this current project. So let's just start off with like the genre, the categorization of like what I'm writing, and I'm currently writing an adult contemporary romance book. And this is actually the first time I've ever really truly written a dedicated contemporary romance book. I will say that I have had like ideas in the past for contemporary romance books, but they have never really gotten out of the initial kind of like brainstorming stage. For some reason, and for such a long time, I kind of felt like really uncomfortable almost writing contemporary fiction, and I really struggled with it and I just could never really find that connection. But I've noticed that as I've gotten older, as I've done more like practice writing, and I have written a lot of different sort of projects that I've gotten pretty deep into, just like haven't really truly finished. I feel like I've gotten so much more writing experience under my belt, and I always have to give credit to the fact that I've taken a few creative writing courses and playwriting courses and stuff like that, so those have really helped me. But yeah, I've never really done a dedicated contemporary romance book, so this is a first for me. This is brand new territory, so I feel like this is going to be a really fun project to kind of bring you guys along for the ride with. And because you guys know how much I love baseball, I have really wanted for the past few years to write a baseball romance, and so that is what this is going to be. And I keep like being a little bit vague about it because it doesn't really have a title. Like literally the title of the document on my computer is #baseball romance work in progress draft 0, because I didn't want to give myself like any expectations. I didn't want to put any sort of like pressure on me, but yeah, it is currently technically untitled. It's literally just a hashtag, which is kind of silly, but that's just the way that I am kind of dealing with this work in progress and like not putting the pressure on myself, because I don't want it to be like, you have to write this and you have to finish it and this is so important and you know everything is writing on this. It's like, let me just treat this as like a fun little project and we'll see where it goes. But for now, that's just what it is. And basically what this book is going to be about is kind of like a second chance romance. We are going to be following these two characters who have basically grown up together and have done Little League together and have played baseball together for a long time. And then they get into high school and the female main character goes and plays for the softball team and the male main character goes and plays for the baseball team. And they've always kind of had a little bit of a rivalry, kind of like a frenemies situation, and are very competitive with each other. And because they've always been really close friends and their family have been kind of family friends, it's never really been an idea in either of their heads where this could be a romantic relationship. But when they're in high school, they end up figuring out that they have feelings for each other and end up dating. And through a series of events, they break up in high school. They do go off to college and they go to the same college, but they are not in the same circles. He is doing baseball and she is doing a journalism degree because she wants to become a sports journalist in the future. And so this book ends up taking place a few years later when they are both kind of like within their careers. He is in Major League Baseball and she is a full-time sports journalist, and she is writing a dedicated piece about him for the newspaper that she works for. And so they kind of have to come back together after having been separated for many years and not having spoken to each other, and they've kind of left things on not so good territory. And so they come back together. She has to interview him and like hang out with him and find out more about his life. And he has just come off of a season where he was like a really promising player, and then things kind of went off the rails for him towards around kind of like the All-Star break. And we find out that like there's like certain circumstances that made his season kind of not go the way that he wanted it to. And so yeah, they're like coming back together and feelings get rekindled, and I'm super excited to be writing about this because, like I said, I am a huge baseball fan, and there aren't quite as many baseball romances out there as I would like there to be. Sports romance has really grown as sort of a subgenre of adult contemporary romance in the past few years, but for the most part I feel like we are really focused in on hockey as like the main sport in sports romance, which, I mean, I like hockey. I am a very casual hockey fan, but I want to see more baseball romance, and there definitely are a few baseball romances out there. I've read a few of them. They're definitely a lot of fun, but none of them have truly spoken to me yet. So I really wanted to write something that I knew I would want to read, and so that's why I'm so excited about this project. And let's just talk a little bit about like where I'm at in this project. Like I said, I'm technically in like draft 0. This is really just like getting all of my thoughts down onto the page, and I'm currently at 33,665 words, so not quite halfway through yet, but I don't really know where this is going to end. Like, I don't have necessarily like an end point when it comes to word count, so there's not like a specific word count that I'm working towards. We will maybe figure that out as we get further into the story, but I mean, narrative wise, I don't feel like I'm necessarily at the halfway point yet, so that's exciting. I know that as a reader, I don't really like reading super long romance novels. I feel like typically if I'm going to pick up a romance novel, I know that I want it to be around like 300 to 350 pages, and that's kind of like the sweet spot for me with romance. I feel like I will read a book that's like 390 pages or 420 pages or whatever, but that's not necessarily something that I'm like searching for in a romance book. I want them to be a little bit on the shorter side, and so I feel like that's kind of what I am working towards. So maybe anywhere from like 75 to 85k words would kind of be my goal, which means that we are getting closer to the midpoint, but we're not quite there yet. And I'm also really trying to keep myself from doing a thing that I am very prone to, which is editing while I'm writing. And I've noticed that in the past that has really hindered my progress in other works in progresses that I've had in the past. So I need to like not do that, which I've actually been really good at not editing while I write, because I can get kind of stuck in a loop of like, I need to edit the crap out of this. I need to get it perfect before I can even move on. And I'm like, I need to dismantle that thinking in my brain in order to like actually get to where I want to go. I think I've also said this in the past, is that I am a huge pantser. I don't do a lot of outlining. That's not to say that like I go in with like no idea or no sort of like thoughts or notes or whatever. I definitely have like a little page of kind of like notes, I guess, or just like things that I need to keep in mind while I'm writing. When I start a new project, this is what I usually do. I usually have like 2 tabs open of 2 empty documents, and the first document is usually like kind of my dumping ground, where I put all of the pertinent information of like character names and like a quick little summary of who they are and who they are in relationship to the narrative and to the main characters. And I also have a little bit of like a sort of summary, kind of synopsis sort of thing. And I will also like put some bullet points of plot points that I want to hit, but I'm not doing like a full-on like outline of like, this is what this chapter is going to be and this is what this chapter is going to be, you know what I mean? I know some people do that, and I'm sure that it is so helpful, but for some reason when I do try to do that, it completely just blocks my brain and I can't move forward. I can't, it doesn't work for what I'm doing, and I need to be able to just kind of like go with the flow and like figure the narrative out as it goes along. And then obviously the second document that I have open is for the actual draft that I'm currently writing. I do all of my writing in Google Docs. I know that that's terrible. I know that like people are always like, don't write in Google Docs. I get it. But for me, as somebody who is balling on a budget, that's what I have available to me. So unfortunately it has to be in Google Docs. If you guys have like any recommendations for like free things that I can use to write this, definitely let me know in the comments down below. But if it's not free, it's not going to be available to me. So that's what we have to work with. So like I said, I'm at 33,000 words, just a little bit over 33,000. And I have been writing a lot in the past few weeks. I have, I think, written somewhere between like 10,000 new words, I would say, in the past like 2 weeks. So I feel like we are going on like kind of like a good writing schedule and like kind of like moving things forward. I just realized I didn't tell you guys these characters' names, and they are kind of important to the plot and to like baseball as a whole. At least my female main character's name is kind of like really directly tied to baseball. I went with the name Mariana Rivera Vasquez, and if you're a baseball fan, you know who Mariano Rivera is. So I really wanted to tie her name back to baseball, and also her sister's name is tied back to baseball because like her family's a big baseball family. They're really into sports. I felt like it'd be a really good tie-in to sort of the baseball theme and why she is so passionate about reporting on sports and following that as like her vocation. So I really wanted it to be like kind of a direct tie to baseball. And then his name is Diego Vicente Martinez, and yeah, so I just wanted to kind of give you guys their names, Mariana and Diego. And as you could probably tell, these two main characters are Latine, and that was really, really important to me when I was brainstorming this book, because if you know baseball, you know that a very big chunk of professional baseball players are Latine. I wanted it to be really true to life and kind of be a mirror to what it's actually like in Major League Baseball. And obviously I really wanted to do that representation, especially as a Latine writer. I really wanted to see that sort of played out in this narrative. And so obviously with like kind of any representation, it is definitely something that is very personal, and I can't really write a book that is going to be representative of everybody. So this representation is very personal to me and very much of like a reflection of what my experience has been like as an Indigenous Mexican American. So that obviously has to kind of be said or like kind of be clear, because I know too often people will like read a book with certain representation and be like, that's not what it's like, that's not what my experience was. And it's like, that's okay. It doesn't have to be your experience. You can still enjoy the story and like realize that maybe somebody else had a different experience to you. So I'm super excited to write about this and like put my experience and my identity in this novel and see it kind of represented, and I'm super excited. Also, very quickly before we get to the end of the video, I wanted to kind of go through my playlist that I have for this work in progress, because like I'm sure a lot of you know, the best part about writing a new or starting a new work in progress is that you get to kind of do like the playlist and the Pinterest board and all that kind of stuff. So just kind of giving you guys a little bit of a feel. I will say that I have posted about my playlist in the past and it has gotten 2 saves, so that's pretty good. And I will link it down below for anybody who wants to check it out, because there's a lot of good songs on there. We start off with songs like Gold Rush by Taylor Swift, Late Night Talking by Harry Styles, Augusta by Gracie Abrams, Give a Little by Maggie Rogers. We go with the Lights On by Jensen McCrae, which I love, and that song I feel like is one that is very quintessential to this work in progress. We have Western Wind by Carly Rae Jepsen, Leaning on You by Haim, Supercut by Lorde, which I feel like if you guys know, you know, like that is a very big sort of like kind of romance song, and I feel like it fits so well for this work in progress. And then we have songs like What If I'm Wrong by Flory, New Emotion by the Aces, Prom by SZA is like a big song for this work in progress. Like, I listen to this one on repeat sometimes when I'm writing. It's so good. It's Different by Taylor Swift, All My Ghosts by Lizzie McAlpine, Tornado Warnings by Sabrina Carpenter, Talking in My Sleep by Ali and AJ, Save Us by Len and Stella. I'm trying to see if there's anything else that's like super representative of like what the vibe is. One song that is like so quintessential and like representative of this work in progress is Right Down the Line by Jerry Rafferty. That song is just another one that I will play on repeat because it's so this work in progress. It is right there. Love that song. We'll link this playlist down below. It is so good. And I'm always adding to it too. Like whenever I hear a song out in the wild that like reminds me of Diego and Mariana, I add it to the playlist because it needs to happen. And I also did a Pinterest board, so I'll show you guys kind of like an idea of what the feeling of this novel is and all of that good stuff. So let's look at the Pinterest board. So if you look at my Pinterest board for my baseball romance work in progress, you will notice that I do have pinned a lot of photos of plus size models and other plus size women, and I really wanted to make sure that I had that representation in there as well, because that is very important to me, and we definitely don't have enough plus size representation in specifically sports romance. So that was very, very important to me. Obviously a lot of like baseball imagery and California imagery and specifically Santa Barbara imagery, because I really wanted to set this book in my hometown. That was very, very important to me as well. Like I said, like this book is such a product of my heart and so much a product of who I am as a person. And while it's not necessarily like Mariana is not me, because we are two very different people, but I did really want kind of like the window dressings basically to be very similar to what I have experienced in my life. So that was really important to me. And also it's set kind of during like October, November-ish in Santa Barbara, California, which is kind of like slightly warm weather, maybe a little bit on the chillier side, but mostly still pretty sunny and warm. So that was super important to me as well. It's definitely very represented in this Pinterest board. And yeah, you just kind of get like a really good feeling from a lot of these photos, like photos of the beach, photos of downtown, the sunset, and just like really beautiful imagery. And it's so much fun. I definitely highly recommend you checking out the Pinterest board that I made. There's so much good stuff there. And yeah, I have so many ideas for this work in progress that are kind of like hidden in this Pinterest board that are kind of like Easter eggs, similar to the playlist actually. Like there are a few songs on there that are like big hints to what happens in this book, and so I'm so excited. I hope I didn't give you guys too much information. Like that's just like a lot, and I was really nervous to make this video because I didn't want to give away too much of the story or like too much of my ideas and stuff like that. So I'm super nervous. I've never really talked this in depth about any of my projects before. Like I did do kind of an intro video when I did NaNoWriMo like a million years ago, but even then I feel like I didn't give you guys quite as much information. So this is super exciting. I can't wait to bring you guys along on this journey and make some like writing vlogs and stuff like that. And I'm just so excited to bring this story to life because I've been talking about it for so long. I've been brainstorming it for so long. Like there was a point where I kind of got like around 23,000 words into this novel, and I was so stuck. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where this is going. I feel like I've hit a wall, or I've like kind of like written myself into a corner. And finally I ended up doing enough brainstorming and enough like talking things through and figuring it out and like reading and rereading what I'd already written to finally work it out and like lay the groundwork, figure everything out. And now I feel like I'm just going on a straight shot through this entire novel. So I'm so excited. I cannot wait to show you guys more of what I'm writing and bring you guys along, and maybe we can even like talk about our work in progresses together. If you guys are working on something, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. If you are also doing like writing vlogs or whatever, definitely let me know because I want to check them out. And yeah, I feel like that's everything we have to talk about today. I'm so excited, and this is going to be such a fun ride. I'm so excited to bring you guys with me because I really want you guys to be there to kind of hold me accountable and be like, hey, are you writing? Are you writing today? Definitely don't be afraid to hold me accountable because I need it. It'll be good. It's very welcome. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Oh, also don't forget, please leave questions down below in the comments. I will try to answer them, but also I might want to do a Q&A in the future, so I don't know, we'll see. If you guys have any questions for a Q&A, definitely let me know. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. Also go ahead and follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Goodreads, Storygraph, TikTok. All the links and so much more are down below, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye!